Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we're going to talk about gubernatorial elections, okay, in 2026. And this will be a very important year for the Democrats, because right now the situation is like this, okay? The Democrats have to win, and this is just a must, okay, in order to be something great. They need to win Nevada, because Joe Lombardo is incumbent governor, but he won in a very small difference, okay, only 15,000 votes, and he won in part because the Republicans were getting a lot of big improvements in the Latino population, okay, in the Hispanic population. And what we saw in 2025 in elections, especially in special elections in April, also in the general election in November, we saw a lot of those people voting now Democratic because they were not happy with the current state of the Trump administration, okay? They need also to win Georgia, because this is a very important state. Brian Kemp cannot run again. That's why this is going to be an opportunity for the Democrats. And I know Brian Kemp won by a very big margin, but he was a very great governor, at least according to the polls. That's not my opinion. I don't have anything to do about Georgia, because I don't know anything about Georgia, to be honest, at least in the gubernatorial level. And Brian Kemp won in part because he was doing very great in the suburbs. Look, Fulton County, Harris got 73. Cobb County, Harris got, I think, 56 or so. So that's why he won by a very big margin, and he was a very great governor in that regard. So also, they need to win. They need to be more competitive in Ohio, because Mike DeWine, the MAGA supporters, they like to call Mike DeWine a rhino. It's a Republican in name only. I'm not going to say my opinion about that, but it's just how they call it. That's why he got that percentage, 62%, because most of the Democrats, or at least a very significant portion of the Democrats, were voting Republican just because he was not a real Republican. That's what the MAGA says. I'm not saying that's my opinion. Okay, have or freedom to have yours. And he did much better because he won Akron, for example. Akron, he won Toledo, he won Cincinnati here in Hamilton County. Counties that at least Republicans didn't win in a very long time. And also, Trump didn't win Toledo, didn't win Akron, didn't win Cincinnati, and Trump did very poorly in Delaware County, which are the suburbs of Columbus or Franklin County. And here in this part, Trump is improving that much, and especially in Mahoning and also in many other parts. So I'm just going to say the Democrats are going to win in Nevada, they're going to win Georgia by a very slim margin, and they're going to win, the Republicans are going to win Ohio, because even though this is the Democrats really want to win Ohio, it's not going to be an easy thing, okay? Mike DeWine won by only 4 in the first time he ran, and now he won by more than 20. So that's why he's not a controversial candidate, and he's getting a lot of support inside his state. For example, here Mahoning County, 12 points for Richard Corday, and now Trump won by a very substantial margin here, as you can see here in Mahoning County, by more than 10, by almost 10. I'm sorry. But now let's just put, after starting off these 3 states, because I just think it's the most interesting states here, I'm just going to stay with the safe states. So Oregon, California. California is going to be interesting. Okay, I'm just going to say like this, or no, because California, we got a poll that says that the 4 main contenders because it's an open primary, okay, it's a jungle primary, everybody goes there, Republicans and Democrats, and the top 2 go into a runoff, or go into the general election, basically. That's why I'm just saying we got of course, one Democrat and one Republican. The Republican is in top with 20%, but they got a lot of Democrats. And we have a Republican in the 3rd place in the margin of error to be the 2nd. Okay, if that happens, we're going to have 2 Republicans going into the general election, which will mean that the California is going to be led by just a very small time, because they're all going to go through a recall election, and the Democrats are going to just take the governor out, because that's what happened in California, if that happens, okay? But I'm just going to say it's going to be Democratic, because for God's sake, it's California. But I'm going to say like this, okay? So then we're going to have, of course, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, because I still think there's no way the Democrats are going to win Texas, because Greg Abbott is a popular governor there, even though nobody outside of Texas likes him, but that's just how it is. Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, and not Vermont, yeah, because as you know here, Phil Scott won this in a landslide, and in 2024 he won by a bigger margin. That's why he's just out of contest. MAGA Republicans are saying that he's not a real Republican, but that doesn't matter, to be honest. here. I just want to go here to the gubernatorial level because I just want to talk about New Hampshire. Okay, New Hampshire, as you can see here, Kelly Ayotte won this by a very substantial margin because she did great here around the suburbs of Massachusetts and also in the Manchester and Nashua. That's why I think this will stay Republican. So right now, after all of this, we are not missing anything. I'm just missing here Colorado, New Mexico, also Illinois, also Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maryland, and Hawaii and Alaska. So I just think it will be like this. Then we're gonna have the competitive states, which are, you're gonna have Maine. Maine is Janet Mills, one of the oldest governors in the state, in the whole country, is very popular there, but she is, and this is just what the polling markets are saying, I'm sorry, the predicting markets, they're saying that Janet Mills is going to run for Senate in Maine. That's why I suspect it's going to be more competitive, but it's still a bit Democratic, considering also the environment. Okay, I'm just going to be Democratic by a lean margin. Then we talk about New York. Why did I leave New York? Because New York was very competitive last time, only 6 points. And Lee Zeldin did very great in Suffolk County, probably not as great as many people would have hoped in the Republican campaign to win the state, probably 60 plus, that didn't happen, but also in Nassau. And when it comes to Queens, he almost got 40 in Queens, he almost got 30 in Brooklyn, and the Bronx is the hardest for any Republican, it's the working class people. In Manhattan, he did only 18%, but you got to say now almost 70, and he did great apart from that. He almost won Buffalo, and Rochester and Syracuse, which are the most important wins for the Republicans. If you want to win the state, you need to win all of those three, or at least be very, very competitive, and he almost did, okay? And what I mean about this is, depending on the candidate, Kathy Hochul is not a very popular governor, and we got polls that says the Republicans are actually ahead. But I'm going to say this was as Democratic because, for God's sakes, it's New York, okay? So now let's just talk about Kansas, because Kansas has a Democratic governor, surprisingly. Yeah, many people, Laura Kelly is a very moderate governor. She is not a polarizing, if you will. She's a very moderate governor. That's why I just say that she won because of that, okay? She's moderate, and she did very great around the Kansas City suburbs, okay? Laura Kelly, for example, here got 21 points, more than 40. That's why I just almost 40. That's why I say, even though all the state looks red because of all the strength here in the Kansas City suburbs, she did a very great job. That's why I'm saying that this will go Republican because she cannot run again, and I doubt this will be a very easy task for the Democrats to find anybody with the same charisma and also the same work that Laura Kelly did in the state of Texas twice, because she won in 2018 by only 5 points, and then she lost a little bit, but she won again in 2022 in a Republican climate. At least that's what people said. Now in Arizona has Katie Hobbs as the governor, and she's gonna run again. She's gonna win again. Please don't put Carol Lake again if you're a Republican. Please don't vote for her in the primary because she's not a great candidate. Okay, you saw her losing in 2022. You saw her losing in 2024 when Trump did an amazing job. Because he really did. You can just go here to the Senate. Trump won by 5, I think, Arizona. And she lost by 3, almost 3, 2.5. So this cannot be possible. How can you vote for such a candidate that every time has an opportunity, loses? That's just not great, okay? I think it will stay by a lean margin. Then we have all the things. Josh Shapiro is going to win in Pennsylvania. He is a very popular governor there. Michigan, I think it's going to be by this margin, okay? I'm being very not so conservative, being very optimistic in the Democratic side, but okay, let's just be optimistic because I do think they're gonna have a great result. Michigan, of course, it will stay Democratic by this margin because it has a Democratic governor right now, of course, Gretchen Whitmer, a very popular governor, more than 10 points there, and she won in part because of the youth people in outside of Detroit, especially here around Washington County. This is a college town where this University of Michigan is, Ann Arbor, if you don't know, and here in Oakland County as well. She did a great job, and also in Macomb County, she won for the first time since Obama left the scene in 2012. So I do think it's going to stay like that. In Wisconsin, that's a different story because Wisconsin is a very competitive scenario, and Tony Evers not going to run again, so we'll see. This might go Democratic, but not by a very big margin. Nonetheless, it's not going to be by 4 points like it was your 3-point-something points. That's why I'm just saying that this was going to be very, very competitive. Then you talk about Minnesota. Of course, it's going to say Democratic. For God's sake, it's Minnesota. And then we're going to talk about Iowa, of course, going to say Republican, not by very big margin like it was before, but at least by a lean margin. I think Iowa's going to stay like that. So this is my map: 19 Democrats and 17 Republicans. This is up for change because the Republicans, if they have a really great night, which I don't think, they might be able to stay with Nevada and Georgia and Wisconsin. Okay, that will be 2016. Look at how things change very fast. I don't think Arizona they have any chance. But the Democrats, if they have a very great night, we might be able to take Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, Nevada, and also Kansas, and also New Hampshire, and also, of course, Wisconsin. So this will be a very good night for the Democrats. We'll see about which one will happen. It's going to be a very interesting scenario for every election here, and especially in California. After all of that, can actually two Republicans go into the general election, which will be very interesting to watch. If you are a Democrat, you need to agree with me. Of course, you're panicking, but it's interesting to watch. Just as you can see here, Charlie Baker won in Massachusetts in 2018, and he decided to run for Senate. He lost miserably because that's what I mean. Not every time gubernatorial level wins are corresponding to senatorial level wins as well. That's what I think is basically what happened. Okay, so this is the video, guys. I hope you have liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. We'll see you tomorrow with another video, another very important video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.